So this is a casting plug I made out of a ping pong ball, some hot glue, and some landing gear wire. It has a swivel and a clip on it, 8-pound monofilament on a 6'6" medium action Roddy limited edition clockwise reel, right-handed. If you're casting with a clockwise reel with your left hand, you can grab this here, and you'll get it onto your finger. So yeah, let's show that again. So sorry about the excessive wind noise. It's windy today. So normally you just cast like this. And I mean, that gets pretty far, but it's not the best way to cast. So here's what you're gonna do. What you're gonna give it is just a nice quick flick. And this is typically best when you're with a lighter plug, but right now I have a 1.1 ounce plug. It won't get the plug as high, but it will cast it as far. So if you're in a very tree infested area, or there's a lot of just stuff around you, this is probably the best way to do it, because you can get it pretty low, only like maybe 2 or 3 feet higher than the tip of the rod. So yeah. What you want to do is get it just like 1 revolution lower than the tip, then grab your line, and then quick flick like this. The slower the flick, the higher it's gonna go. It might go slightly further, but you're not gonna get as much accuracy in terms of height. So you might overshoot your target or undershoot it. Okay, here, I'll give it a pretty slow flick, which is basically the equivalent of just starting back here and casting it, but with just a bit more recoil. It went pretty high, so that might not be the best. So here I'm gonna give it a pretty quick flick. This is gonna be like a second, maybe, no, like less than a second. See how that didn't go very high? It probably didn't even get much higher than the tip of the rod. So that's a great thing to do if you want accuracy, but you got a lot of stuff around you, like trees or a bridge or like I don't know, something else. So the further away your casting plug or your lure is from the tip of your rod, the slower flick you're gonna need. So here I can just see that. But the thing is, the closer your lure is to the end of the rod, the faster flick you can have, because you don't have to wait for it to do a circle or whatever. As I shall now demonstrate. Here I've got like less than a revolution. Like here, I can flick this super quickly. All right, but now here I have like maybe two revolutions down. If I flick it too quickly, it'll go backwards to something that you probably don't want. I probably got out 100 feet, just one cast. Maybe a bit less than that because it bounced. Now, if you want to lob something, like lob it really far, then probably the best way to do that is the overhand or overhead cast, I guess. So get your thing like down to basically the end of the rod, tilt it back as far as possible, maybe to the ground. Have it do a little swing, and then once it reaches the apex of its swing, you can just have it swing. So, should your lure be close to the tip of the rod or far from the tip of the rod? So, I'm going to try casting this from far from the tip of the rod, almost down to the end of the rod. So, let's do this. Same kind of cast, just an overhead, just lob. That's probably maybe 100 feet. So that does require a bit larger area to cast. So if you're in somewhere like trees or around obstacles, it's probably not the best way to do it. Let's see what it does at half the length of the rod. Roughly there. Same kind of cast. See, it went about the same distance, but it also didn't go as high, and there wasn't as much space needed behind me. All right, now let's go really close to the tip of the rod. See how this does. Just the same lob, just... That one might have actually gone a bit further. So, why would less length from the tip of the rod mean that your lure goes further? Well, so it's basically, since the rod bends, it has a springness to it. So when it springs back, so when you cast it, it basically does that. It springs back to center. So that extra bit of springiness can actually help the lure go a bit further. So, what about side casting? Well, it's basically the same. The more line the further away from the tip of the rod your lure is, it might go a bit further, but you're gonna need a lot more space. It also won't get as much kick, and it's not gonna be as accurate. So you've seen me do the flick like that, but can you do a flick on the side? Well, yeah. It just requires a bit more finesse. It also doesn't go very far at all. Probably won't even go higher than you, depending on how you cast it.